Hello, I'm Bert Oliver, and welcome to the Bowie News and Views. And John, co-producer, you got a special guest today to introduce that we've both known a long time. So why don't you kick that off?
I'm just co-producer this week.
Yep.
You know, it gives me 3 or 4 little titles, and then now he's getting cheap, I guess.
Well,
yeah, we're very pleased to have a former city councilman, Mike DiMario, a distinguished fellow Air Force veteran of great stature, both of us. We even served in the same country overseas. And Mike's been here since the year 1. Governor Ogle, I think you were at his first inaugural.
I think we reported on that in the government publications that I
That's right. I would also
ran.
point out that you were the big honcho
Right.
at the government printing office until you retired into obscurity in Kenilworth.
Right.
and of course served on the city council as we proceed, but I'd like for us to get back into the history during World War II. Because you guys,
Wait a minute here.
well, you guys happened to cross paths in Scotland, and it was very interesting to me what you were doing and what he was doing. So what were you doing over there, Michael?
Okay, I was in an organization in the Air Force called the Office of Special Investigations, and I was assigned to Scotland as the resident agent for Scotland, the Inner and Outer Hebrides, the Orkneys, the Shetlands.
Oh, wow.
You know, and happened to, I was the only agent in the country, and I happened to be cleared for security service work, and so there were certain bases that were covered by the security service or the NSA functions, and Kirk Newton was one of those. And so I would visit Kirk Newton periodically. I was principally stationed, and my office was physically at Prestwick Air Force Base. But Prestwick was a transient kind of base. With we had the blue and gold cruise for the Navy submarines at Holy Loch in Scotland, and the crews would transfer at Prestwick. And so they'd be under or at sea for 2 or 3 months. They'd come back in, and you'd have a big transfer. And there were a lot of activities that took place as a result of that. And so I had that base, and then there were certain communication sites that were covered, and then there was an NSA base in north of England that
Chicksands.
right. But I covered those facilities.
And your title again was?
I was resident agent for Scotland. I was a special agent of the Office of Special Investigations. A lot of specials in there.
If you watch any cop shows on TV, he was the equivalent of the Rat Squad.
and I was the principal contact with the British intelligence agencies, counterintelligence agencies. In fact, we were under the Official Secrets Act, so we had to make certain that we were not in violation of the Official Secrets Act.
That was GCHQ, as I recall, yes.
And my headquarters was in London, and we had several facilities and people around Great Britain, but not in Scotland. I was the sole person up there.
Well, officially, our installation didn't really exist.
Right.
Yes. I was stationed at the Kirk Newton he refers to, and I used to go to the Prestwick that he refers to primarily because that used to be the military transport system base. And you could go over there on a weekend and grab a flight to anywhere in Europe.
Right.
If you were more adventurous, you could go farther afield. I think I went to Tangiers once.
Is that right?
Yeah, you just go over, put your name on the list, and you always get on a plane.
Yeah,
that
well,
was great.
My son had some medical issues, and I would take the local space available on the regular milk runs.
Yeah.
And I'd go down to Milden Hall or wherever. There were a couple of specialized hospitals in England that I could go to, and it was a great service, but it was space available, and we were there at a time when there were not a lot of American medical facilities in Great Britain.
That's true. We're talking about the mid-'60s, basically.
Right.
Yeah. So you two guys were there, and you're
Yep.
doing your thing, and
Yeah.
you say your office was invisible.
Invisible.
And of course,
If I
Mike
told
knew
you what I
Mike knew
told
where
you what
it
I
was.
did, I'd have to shoot you, right, Mike?
But not here, John.
Not here.
No, I knew. I remember when
You know,
John and I had a
excuse me,
beer. I heard
almost-
all this
Before I
stuff.
forget, it's not Air Force Security Service anymore.
It's not.
No, it's Electronic Systems Command.
Oh, wow.
What's that?
Yeah.
Sorry, Bert, carry on.
No, that's great. Well, no, I was going to talk about Budweiser opens many mouths. We had Bud one time. He told me everything he did over there. So
Who?
You.
No, Bud who?
Budweiser.
Budweiser. I'm kidding, John. No, John never talked about this stuff. I got it out of him today because of your being here.
Yeah.
Because everything's confidential. All he ever talks about Scotland is he fell in love there.
Well,
And I thought he meant the country.
he did fall in love if he's been married this long.
That's
Yeah,
right.
no
So-
kidding.
And his son was born there. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten.
Well, you're not far behind me, old boy. You've been married how many years now?
It'll be 50 in June.
Well, I'm 46 years. But
Sixteen.
but Priscilla was also over in Scotland with you,
Right,
so
right.
she knows.
Yeah. Because it was less than
Yeah.
50 years ago that we were over there.
That's great. Well, I tell you, any more we can get out of you, we're going to have to beat it out of them, right, Mike? You're still holding the secrets.
What we did is we had large towers out in fields, and we used to test balloons from them. That was our mission.
Oh, I see that happen right off Bel-Air Drive sometime. Some people are still doing it.
It was basically electronics. It was affiliated with the National Security Agency, as Mike said, and it was interception of foreign communications for intelligence purposes. I tell a story once, and this is totally, it's also obsolete now. I used to wander through the compound and look at different things, and they had facsimile transmissions. That's what the Russians in those days sent their telegrams via facsimile. And so we sort of read them. And to this day, my mind boggles, sitting there at 4:30 in the morning, getting rid of the late shift, and here comes this Americanized English telegram, which addressed to Uncle Vanya in Moscow, detailing some sort of family event. But the idiom was American.
Right.
So who that person was, and it was from Novosibirsk to Moscow. Who that person in Novosibirsk was, I would love to know.
Yeah.
I'll say. And Mike, after that, and of course, John moved on to a career in the newspaper business.
Yeah.
This tattered and torn paper. There's a picture of John in there, and of course, from Connecticut,
We won't show that.
eventually came to Bowie. And I guess that's where you guys first met.
Here in Bowie,
here,
absolutely.
Rather than, you probably, let's say, passing in the night over there.
Yeah.
You weren't looking for John because he was not a bad guy. So he passed. Otherwise, you may have met him there. Huh?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But getting into and that's great information, John. I'll know about you. Then I can tell other people I knew a guy that did that. Now I met Mike. But Mike, you then came into the Washington area. Did you move to Bowie when you first came back from military?
Well, we lived briefly in Cheverly at my mother-in-law's house. My wife's parents.
She's a PG girl.
Right. Not originally.
Oh,
They
okay.
were they moved here from Florida, and they were in Florida just a short period of time. But they're originally from upstate New York.
Oh, okay.
And she's from Syracuse. Born in Cortland, but raised in Syracuse, and went through junior high and 3 different high schools, graduated finally from Bladensburg. 3 high schools only because of moves.
Yeah, like Sarah
for her
Palin,
father, right. So we met in college, and we, ended up, I was in the service, and she was with me the whole time. When I got out of the service, we were living in Cheverly.